Darrell,
And my name is Greg.
and this is Inside the Mastermind. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about generational wealth and actually some families that have been known for their generational wealth. I can think of three. Greg, if you have others, go ahead and jump in. But let me go ahead and come up with a corny joke here. And I guess the joke is kind of a question joke. So, Greg, let me ask you, what do a grenade and a spouse have in common?
They both blow up when they're angry.
No. The thing that a grenade and a spouse have in common is if you remove the ring, the whole house is gone. So there's a joke there, and just so you know, it said spouse, so don't come at me with that's said that it could be a guy or a girl there that is kind of causing that trouble. But anyway, wanted to talk about some families that are known for generational wealth, and I could think of three off the top of my head and stuff. And Greg, feel free to join in if you know of others. But one is definitely going to be the Rothschild family. If you haven't heard of them, look them up and check them out. Another is going to be the Rockefellers. You probably have heard of them, but if you're not aware, Google them as well. And another would be the Waltons. And if you haven't heard of them, we'll talk about that a little bit. So I guess the first family is the Rothschild. So Rothschild family has been around, and like there's debates on whether they still have billions of dollars or not, or if they are even millionaires at this point. But at least at the bottom line is like about 200, 300 years ago, Amschel, the founder of that family, or at least the wealthy side of the family, um, kind of began a business in kind of almost medieval times. I guess it was just getting out of medieval times and stuff, um, and through a series of different business moves, becoming a banker for the rich, and by doing that, started building some wealth himself. And they're been known to be Rothschilds that have had wealth up into the 19th, 20th century. It was like I think the 18th century or so that Amschel kind of started the family and sent his five sons to five different corners of Europe at that particular time, which I think was ingenious. Actually, on that whole note, there's the idea. There's a actual. There's a. Gosh, there's basically a quote, and it escapes me. Not a quote; it's a story, a parable, I should say, about three brothers there. And the basic gist of the story is that three brothers um, were all at their father's deathbed, and the brothers were known for fighting against each other, throughout time, over time after time. And after after seeing their dad there, their dad asked them kind of to do a test. He kind of had them all get a bunch of sticks there and try and break them. And one by one, they broke like individual different sticks there. But then he gave them a bundle of sticks and said, "Hey, like, go ahead and try and break these." And none of the brothers could break them. And he basically said, "Let that be a lesson to you. Like, you are more powerful together than you ever are apart." So that was kind of the moral of the story. And that's exactly what Amschel kind of went after when he decided to, like, hey, this is going to be the path that his family goes down. Um, I, I'll let you jump in, Greg, before I start going. waxing too far.
Yeah, it's crazy because even with just regarding the Rothschilds, there is like a rumor going around with their wealth as far as that, they were quoted to be worth like 200-300 billion, but they said that again, I can't confirm or deny this, but that they may be worth even trillions of dollars. Is that some of their wealth they may not necessarily talk about? They keep really low key. So yeah, they could even be worth trillions if that's true, which is crazy if they are. But who knows? Also, another family that's created legacy wealth is the Kroc family, which if you guys don't know, Ray Kroc, he's the founder of McDonald's. So if you guys, I'll say just recommend watching the movie The Founder, if you want to know more about Ray Kroc. But that's another person that created legacy wealth, and keep passing it down from generation to generation. But yeah, and then also I have a question for the audience. Now, have any of you guys either created legacy wealth for your family, or have you guys inherited legacy wealth from prior generations? Because that's something that we're really not taught to do as well in society, is to create legacy wealth for our families. You can just pass it on and on and on, and keep that cycle going. So yeah, I really am big on trying to create that. So even for myself, I don't have kids, but just be able to pass it on either to like a family member, or someone that's worthy, pick up Thor's hammer, or someone who's worthy of collecting that, or continuing the legacy. But yeah, I believe just creating that type of wealth for yourself that you can pass on to the next generation, and teach them and educate them properly, so they can have a good head on their shoulders, and they can do the same thing, pass it down, but just educate and pass it down. So, but yeah, that's what I have to say about that part.
And I just wanted to kind of mention about two other families that I mentioned. One is the Rockefeller. So Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller, was the patriarch of that family. Kind of made his money on oil and gas. I read one of his biographies anyway, and was just kind of a genius with numbers there, and also just a miser to a certain degree. Like I believe at one point he was out with a friend and stuff. And at this time, this was back in the early 1900s. He was out with a friend, a female friend, and stuff. And she didn't have like a nickel to take the train somewhere. And obviously, this guy's a multi-millionaire, possibly a billionaire. He was a billionaire at the end of his life in the 1900s. So just think hundreds of billions at this point in time. And for whatever reason, he just refused to she didn't have the nickel to ride the train. She's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to give you that nickel to ride the train. I'm sorry, like that's not money well spent. So he's like kind of a notorious miser a little bit. But his family has definitely continued to hold on to their wealth for generations. There you kind of hear here and there about the Rockefeller family and kind of what they want. If you watch, say, CNN, NBC, or maybe Fox Business News or so, every once in a while you might hear about, hey, the family says this or the family says that. There when making decisions on different stocks and that type of thing, because at this point they're definitely at the investor level. And then I guess the final family that I'd like to just mention and talk about is the Waltons. And for those unfamiliar with the Waltons are just descendants of Sam Walton, who died, I believe, in the early 90s. It's not obvious who he is. He is the founder of Walmart, which, as you guys might already know, is kind of just $1 billion company at this point. And all of his children are billionaires as well. Like they're in the kind of the $50 billion range. So they're not the richest people in the world, but they're definitely not like the poorest on the book. They're in the top 100 list of billionaires or so. And I think right now there's about 1,500 billionaires or so in the world. So they're on the top echelon of that list. And that's just the children there. If you combine all their wealth together, they'd probably be, in the top 10. I think they might still be in the top 10, to be honest with you. I'll have to kind of look into that. But that's kind of, I guess the reason I bring this topic up is just because I think that's kind of a goal for some of us is to have have generational wealth. I would love to have that. I'm not sure about you, Greg. I'll go ahead and let you talk for a little bit, and then we could probably wrap up.
Excuse me. Thank you. Yes, I totally agree. And something for me, I think I said this on one of our other podcasts where there's a quote that I heard a guy. I forget who said the quote. It was it could have been Les Brown or someone, but he said that whether you're poor or rich is all based on the habits you have. So if you're poor because of the habits you develop, if you're rich, and to me that definitely makes sense because we look at typically families who grew up in poverty or with not a lot of wealth, health, materialistic things. It's because like the habits you develop. Not saying materialistic things are everything, but just in that mindset of having like the legacy wealth passed on to your kids. Because you develop habits, you pass it down to your kids, and they pass it down to their kids, and they think that's the only way to live. Versus the people over here. Because think about it, you just said the Waltons that their kids are billionaires. They didn't just become it. Maybe he did write him a check is easier, but like you're you taught him the habits that he developed and learned, so then they could continue to get that wealth and pass it on to their kids. So like you develop those habits, it will you create the life that you want based on what you're taught. So that's why I'm really big on trying to educate people to again use their subconscious mind to manifest what they want, think positive about what you want, and know that you can do it because just a couple habits are the difference between people who are broke and people who are not. The dude Earl Nightingale puts it the haves and the have-nots. So there's only two types of people who've done things and people who haven't done things.
And just finally, I'll say, okay, yeah, I'm muting myself. I'm muting myself. Finally, what I'll say along that vein is that kind of education is the key. So there, even the time of Amschel Rothschild or the time of Rockefeller. Rockefeller had Carnegie as the guy that he kind of competed against, Andrew Carnegie. But I don't think Carnegie really set it up for generations of his children, or I'm not sure that Carnegie even had any descendants. I think he just kind of had fun, made a mark, and it's like peace out. But he didn't really have the generational wealth passed on and forward to his kids. And you know what? There right now, a thing among billionaires is kind of the giving pledge. I think started by Bill Gates and Bill Gates. Oh God, and another billionaire whose name escapes me, but Warren Buffett. Gosh, I can't believe I forgot Warren Buffett's name because like I've got a couple of books on him. Anyway, they kind of created a giving pledge, so that might kind of destructure some of the wealth in the world. But there are people out there who come from inheritance, come from generations of wealth. And I think the key to how those generations of wealth have happened is because not only the money has been passed down, but the education has been passed down years over years over years. I think, in fact, like I believe the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers especially have kind of like family rules that are kind of semi-private, but like people close to them have kind of shared a few of them and whatnot. And that's how they maintain their wealth. They kind of educate the next generation at a very early age. Like, this is what you need to do. There's countless examples of people who have made millions or even billions. And then the next generation learn nothing about how to maintain those millions or billions, and spend it all within their generation. And their grandchildren are now living middle class or lower than middle class at this point. So that's about it. Greg, do you have any quote or suggestions for the other suggestions for the audience?
Yeah, I do actually. And just to really quickly comment on Andrew Carnegie, I know that he actually gave most of his wealth away. So yeah, he said it wasn't really generational. He gave most of it like away before he died. So it's really, even Bill Gates did like a lot. He's similar. But yeah. So I guess the homework for the audience, what I have is this actually comes from Earl Nightingale. This is something I heard him say once on one of the audios, and it really like stuck with me. What I want the audience to do is actually go around and ask your friends, family, people maybe even a stranger or two. Not just start a conversation. You don't get too crazy, but just talk to someone and ask them like, what are you currently doing at this particular moment in time to increase your income, and how much do you plan to be worth by the time you're 65? And Earl Nightingale, back in his day, he recommended go to your neighborhood and knock on 100 doors and ask 100 men this question, and everyone will look at you, without any answer, because that's not something that you think about. So again, just to test, just start to get the gears turning in your mind. Just ask people, what are they doing right now to increase their income, and how much money do they plan to be worth by the time they're 65? Kind of see what type of responses you get. Put those in the comments below. We'll love to read those comments, see what you guys find out. Also, yeah, just a quote of the day comes from Robert Kiyosaki. He's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's a billionaire as well. He created his own wealth, so he's a very smart guy. But he says, financial freedom is a mental, emotional, and educational process.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And I'll just go ahead and kind of wrap it up here by saying, if you're looking for motivation, inspiration, that type of thing, definitely go ahead and reach out to Gregg and reach out through his blog, which is planetgreensin.com. It's just a great blog with great resources. I know he's got an Instagram that's popping off too, so you might want to share that as well. But it's just a positive guy with some positive information that will help affect your life in a positive way. So definitely check that out and get in contact with Gregg. All right.
Thanks, Darrell. Appreciate that. Also, if you guys are looking to join a mastermind group just as this one, definitely connect with Darrell. His information will be in the description below. You click on the link, fill out the application. You connect with Darrell. He'll let you know the requirements and everything that we're looking for this type of mastermind group. So also, we also want to keep you held accountable to your actions or your goals. Darrell's the guy as well. So definitely check out his information in the link below and submit to it.
All right. Thank you, Gregg. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for watching Inside the Mastermind. If you enjoyed this episode, whether it be on YouTube or if you're listening to a podcast sometime in the future, go ahead and subscribe and tell your friends about it. Share it wherever you can. If you did not enjoy this, if this was kind of just, I don't really want to hear about wealth. I don't care about wealth. I'm independently wealthy. Go ahead and give us some feedback. How could we have made this more about you? Go ahead and reach out to us and let us know. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. Thank you for watching Inside the Mastermind, and have a great week.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.